CSS3 animations are very important. If you like to create these awesome flipping cards, then stick to this course. You will also learn how to create these awesome hover effects on the images and to style the links like a professional. Or even better, we will learn how to style the buttons and icons. All of the files will be included in the link below, so you don't have to worry about anything. So let's start our animation journey. We're going to talk about transform property, but before that, I just want you to install this Visual Studio Code. But if you have other code editors installed on your machine, you can still follow me. Don't worry. If you're familiar, you can just follow me, right? But if you're not, if you want to have the same thing that I do, well, you can download the Visual Studio Code. If you go on Google and type VS Code Editor, the first link will pop. Boom, open it, just select the right version, install it, that's it. After you install it, you will have pretty much something like this, right? Now here, I'm just gonna close it and I'm gonna run it again so if you install it for the first time, you probably might have different layouts here, but don't worry. Now, on the desktop, I have a folder called CSS Animations. In here, we're gonna put everything that we're gonna work for this course, okay? So let's target that one. File, open folder, go to desktop, CSS Animations, click open, there you go. Now inside, you can create files, right? But before you create files, make sure that you have installed an extension called Live Server. So we're gonna need this extension, and it's by this guy, read week day, right? Open it, click install, and if it asks you to restart the VS Code, just close VS Code and start it again. That's it. You will see why we need this. Now inside this folder, we can create a file, index.html. In another file, we can create files in different ways. Here, clicking on this icon, or right click, new file, style.css. Or we can go file, new file, and things like that. New folder, whatever you need. Okay, so I'm not gonna teach you the basics of HTML and CSS, so I hope you know this, because this is going to be only for the animation. So in the index, shift and number 1, so if you press shift and 1 together, you will have the exclamation mark and hit tab. Wow, that was fast. So it will auto-populate this markup for you. It's empty markup, so you can click here on the Explorer and it will close this. All right, good. So in the styles is where I'm going to write the styles to make this web page beautiful. Okay. Now inside this web page, I want you to create an ordered list that will have 4 list elements. So how we can do this very fast? Like this. Li times 4, hit the tab button, and that's it. First, translate. Then we have scale. So we're gonna learn all of this. That's why I'm writing down. Rotate. How cool is this? And skew. So we're gonna learn all of this. And here I want to write H1 tab and transform property. This is what we're gonna learn. Now, why I told you that you need to install this live server extension? Well, here, you can go live now. So if you click here, go live, look, how cool is this? This is very, very nice. So we have our page open. Now, if I add another one here and another one and Control S or Command S on the Mac. So if I type, make sure that you always save them before you check what's happening here, right? So save it and that will appear. So it waits for us to do the changes. So when we save them, it's automatically here. How cool is this? Let me zoom in a little bit. 200, not a little bit. Okay, so in order to show you this transform translate property, let's create 2 div elements inside here. All right. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna do another H2 tag, and I'm just gonna cover the translate for now, the first one, right? So the transform can have these different properties. And first, we're gonna talk about the transform translate, and I need to create 2 separate div elements. So the first one will have a container, and inside I will have the inner container. Good. And that's it. I will not write anything. So in the CSS, this style, we need to write something, right? We need to set the body to be background color, let's say light blue, right? Save it. And now if I go back here, nothing is visible. Why? Well, we need to link this style sheet to our index HTML. So how are we gonna do this? Well, we can say link CSS, and there you go. It's populated for me. Now, if I go back here, there you go. Now our document is having a light blue background color. Now let's do a little bit more styles here. So let's style the container. Let's style this div here, right? So let's style this container and get the padding 10 pixels. So I'm not gonna teach you guys all of this. This is very basics, but I need to just do things. Orange red. So add background color and just add the width to this container to be 250 pixels width, and height should be 250 pixels as well, right? Now the inner container, so if we go back here, make sure that you save, there you go. The container, the first one, it's styled. Now for the inner container, what we can do here is we can set the different background color to olive red, like this. Now the width, actually I'm gonna copy it, the width and the height will be the exactly same. So save it. This is what happens. Okay, this happens because we added the padding of 10. So if I don't add the padding, it will overlap. Okay, make sure you follow this. I hope you understand the basic CSS. So from here, we can use the translate property on the inner div container. And let's add the following code or syntax into here. So I'm just going to use the transform property, and then I'm going to call the translate function. In here, I have option to pass two values. So I'm going to pass two values, 150 pixels, comma 150 pixels. Don't freak out. Everything is okay. Save it, and voila, this is what happened. So what we have done is that we translated successfully this inner div container 150 pixels, right? But the parent stayed the same location. So let's talk about this, 150 pixels here and 150 pixels here. So they're separated by comma, don't forget this. Now, the first 150 pixels is for the x-axis. So this is for, I'm just gonna make it like this, transform, translate, X and Y. So I'm just gonna comment this one because it's not gonna work. So the first 150 pixels is for the x-axis, and this axis is gonna move the element left and right. So it's gonna move the element left and right or horizontally. Now the next, after the comma, whatever value we pass, is gonna be for y-axis. So that's gonna move the element vertically, up and down, right? Now, there you go. So you know what these two values actually means. Now, let's do this. I'm just gonna comment this one, I'm gonna copy it, and I'm just gonna comment. So if we want just to move this element 200 pixels to the right side without even touching the y coordinates. So let's do this. Make sure this is 200, save it. Look what's happening. So I have moved the element 200 pixels to the right side only. Now, if we want to move to the left side of the element, we can use negative values, right? Let's use negative values here. We move it to the right, and you can't see it because it's going outside here, right? Now I'm gonna comment this one. There you go. Now you know that you can add positive and negative, and adding negative will move it to the left, adding positive will move it to the right. Same goes for the Y direction, and you can test this one on your own, right? Now, please note, if you want to test it only for the Y direction, you cannot use this syntax, right? So you need to use this. 0 pixels, comma, 200 pixels. And let me just comment this one. This is gonna be for the Y axis only. And here it is. I'm just gonna make sure here is for the X axis only. All right, look at this. So if we do this, 0 pixels for the X axis, we're saying, okay, we don't want the element to move on vertically, or sorry, horizontally, but we want the element to move 200 pixels down. If we want to move this element 200 pixels up, we need to use the negative 200. How cool is this? Now, we can use different values here. We can use percentages like this, right? We don't have to, we are not sticked to the pixels only, right? So we can use percentages. But there's a one shorthand syntax or shortcut syntax. So if we want to avoid doing this, to write 0 pixels, we can say transform, translate, and specify which axis we want to go. So here, 200 pixel is identical to this one. And if I save it, nothing will change. It will remain same. The same things is applied for the x-axis. It goes to the left side, right? So this is the shorthand syntax. So translate X and translate Y. So I'm just gonna write here, shorthand syntax is this. And I'm just gonna make a comment this one, right? Like that. So you have it. Okay, so this is a shorthand syntax. And we don't need this, so I won't not confuse you. And that is all that I want to show you about transform translate property. So let's talk about transform scale property. Now, here we can name this document into transform translate property because that's what we talked. Now here, I'm gonna create a new folder and call it transform. And because these files are for the transform property, I'm just gonna move them here real quick. So they belong into transform folder. Now we're gonna talk about the scale property, the second one. So I'm gonna copy this folder, Control C and Control V here, and I'm gonna not delete. I'm just gonna rename it, and I'm just gonna call it scale. All right, close everything here. So open these two, right? And here we can just type scale properties, and we need to change a couple of things here. I'm gonna delete everything from here, and I'm gonna delete everything from here, and I'm gonna change this to a 0, and I'm gonna go live. Go live now here. Scale, oops. That's why, because I didn't pick this one. So sorry. Go live. Good. So I have the translate, what I have here? Yeah, translate scale now. I got confused. So here, let's work on this one. Now, I am going to use a little bit different styles. I'm not gonna use the color. So to color the background, we're gonna just color the borders. So here, I'm gonna say width should be 350 pixels and height should be 350 pixels, right? Here, I'm gonna set the border of 3 pixels solid brown, save it. Let's go here, very good. So this container has these properties. Now, the CSS properties for the inner container will be exactly same. I'm just gonna change this to sea green. Save it. How cool is this? Now, it's very interesting to know the syntax first for the scale, right? So the syntax is very simple. I'm going to just write here syntax for scale, all right? And I'm going to comment this one out. Now the syntax is like this. First, I'm going to use it here, transform, scale, and we pass X and Y coordinates here, right? So that is the basic syntax. But if we want to scale only onto horizontal one, we can use this. If we want to scale on the individual axis, now like this, on the individual axis, we can use scale X to scale on the X axis and scale Y to scale on the Y axis. Now remember here for the transform, I said that we can use percentages instead of pixels, right? Let me close this one. Well, here we cannot use this. If we want to resize the element on any of the axes, we need to use integers values, right? Not percentage, only integers, which means 0, positive or negative, decimals as well, right? Or decimals are known as floats. So here, what I want to do, I want to scale the inner element twice in both sizes. So I want to scale the element twice. So how I can do this? Transform, scale 2 times, save it. Look what happened. So I scaled the inner element twice of its size. And this 2 is exactly as this, 2, 2, right? So let me just comment this one and put it here. Oops, not only the X, sorry. There you go. So you know that this is exactly the same as this one. Now, if we want to use the single axis, let's say that we want to scale the on the X axis 1.3 times, we can do that. Transform, scale 1.3. Let me just comment this one. There it is. It's smaller, but it's scaled 1.3 times, 3 times of its size. And we can do the same thing for the Y. So this should be X. It's not gonna matter, but this should be for the Y axis. Look at this. It goes vertically up and down. How cool is this? So if we want the inner container to be smaller in size, for example, half of its initial width and height, we can use the following syntax. Transform, scale 0.5. So that will make half of its original size. You want to see the original size? Let me show you. Let me show you side by side how this can be done. So I'm going to comment this part. I'm going to copy this one. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to save it. And this is the original one. So if I paste it back and save it, it's half of its size, right? So when I use the single value, it goes for X and Y directions, right? And that's all you need to know about scale property. So we can scale using this syntax, using both values. We can use the individual ones, and it accepts only the integer values. So whole numbers, decimal numbers, zeros, and we can use 1.3 if we, or 0.3 if we want. 2.3, it's very large now, okay? You got the point. Good. 0.5 was the last one we tested, and I'm gonna leave it there. There you go. Let's talk about another transform property, and that will be the rotate. So I'm gonna copy this one folder, I'm gonna paste it here, I'm gonna rename it to rotate. Very good. So make sure that you work in a proper files, in a proper folder, so don't confuse all of them because we have index everywhere, okay? So make sure you close the files that we worked before and you open the one that we just copied. Okay, so here, rotate, and I'm just gonna copy this one. I'm gonna do it here, and I'm gonna do it here. And what I can do here, let me show you. I can make this one to look italic. I should have done this for this too, but I didn't, and I'm sorry. But let's go live. Good. So here, this is coming from the CSS file. Oops, not this one. The CSS file and these properties. So I'm just gonna get rid of them, and let me just make this one a bit smaller, both of the containers, to have smaller width and height. Save them. There you go. Now, the transform rotate, this is a very important. Why? We can rotate the element based on the angle. So let me here pass 150, 150 degrees. Now, this here, DEG stands for degrees, it's identifier. And this is a positive number, means clockwise. All right, clockwise, turn, when we're using a positive integers, or positive angle, sorry, well, there, the angles are numbers, right? So the integer. So positive angles, and voila, what we have here is we have the inner container rotated clockwise for 150 degrees. So we can do this on the other way, so minus 150. And look at this, but let me give you another one, minus 100. There you go. Good, now you know how to rotate an element based on the angle. And you can use radians here and gradients, but if you want to learn more about them, you're just gonna Google them. I'm gonna tell you, it's on MDM. I'm gonna give you the link at the end, don't worry. So everything that you wanna learn and read extra, you can do that. So, for example, if you want to use the gradient, one full rotation is at 360 degrees here, right? And one full rotation for the gradients, I'm just gonna tell you, it's 400. So transform, rotate 400, and then you need to pass grad. That stands for gradient. Look, full turn. That's why you don't see the change here. How cool is this? It's awesome. Okay, so now you know that you can use gradients, degrees, and there's another one, radian. And if you want to do a full rotation with that, you need to just calculate 2 times pi, and pi is 3.14. And yeah, long story short. That's cool. Now, let's do another one. Let's do another transform property. Just gonna close everything here. I'm gonna copy this one. And I'm doing it like this so you see me what I'm doing, right? That's why I'm just copying and pasting manually like you see me here. So I don't use the shortcuts because a lot of people, they don't know how to use the shortcuts. So Skew, this new property will be Skew. Make sure that you work in the correct file and type Skew here. Yep, and get rid of this EM tag and put it on the Skew. Let me just change this one real quick before I lose it. There you go. I go here in the CSS file. I get rid of everything, save it, and go live. Skew, not scale, sorry. I made a mistake. Just gonna close everything, and I'm just gonna dispose this one, and I'm gonna go live. And we need to select this one. Good, here it is. So we're working in the Skew. So we can skew the element using the Skew function. And here we can use also gradients, radians, turns, or degrees to skew the element to his x-axis horizontal direction and y-axis vertical direction. So yeah, here is how we can do that. Now, if I want to skew the element, so I'm gonna say transform skew, and inside I pass what? The degrees. So this is gonna be 10 degrees on the x horizontal direction, on x-axis, and 20 degrees on the y-axis. So look what will happen. So if I save this, look how I skew the element. How cool is this? And why I have chosen to have such a big element, I really don't know. So change it to 250 so you can see it a little bit better. Right, so here it is. So I skew the element based on the values or the degrees I pass here, right? So we can use radians as well. We can use gradients, turns, whatever, okay? But if we want to skew the element only in one direction, or sorry, only on one axis, we can use the shortcuts. X, and we pass this one here, 10 degrees. Look, only on the X. That's why it's going from left to right. And if we use negative, it will go on the other side. So it goes from right to left. Good. We can do the same thing for the Y direction. That's the horizontal. That's the vertical one. So let's choose 10 degrees. Look, it's going from top to bottom. If I choose -10, it will go from bottom to top this way. Good. So we learn how we can skew the element. Important, the transform properties work on a block level elements, not inline level elements. So the divs that we have here, these div containers, they are block level elements. And inline elements are, for example, the links we have, or the span elements. And in order for me to show you what's the difference between block and inline level elements, I would like to create another folder. So I'm going to close everything here. I'm going to copy the skew, right? I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to rename it. I'm going to say block vs inline, right? And go into the index, and here we're going to do a couple of changes. So let's replace the inner div here, right? So I'm going to delete this one, and I'm just going to call this one parent container, okay? So it starts here, it ends here. Now inside here, I will have href element, and this element will not go to anywhere. It will be empty link. So class, and I will say child container, and here I'm just gonna call it link. So if I save this and go live, this is what I got, okay? And let me just rename here, transform block vs inline level element, right? Inline, and this should not be there. Good. And we can remove this EM from here, okay? I don't want to confuse you guys. So how I'm going to show you? Well, in order for this to work, I need to go to the styles, and in the styles, we need to change this to parent container, right? And this should be the child container. So I just rename it. Here the width, it can remain the same. Border, yep, it can be the same. Now here, let me just use the rotate. I just want to rotate the inner. This element, for example, I just want to rotate it to 45 degrees. So can I do this? Let's try it out. Transform, rotate, and we pass positive 45 degrees. Save it, go back. What do you think happens? Nothing. Look, this guy didn't rotate. Well, that is because it's a inline level. It's inline level element. And this one, the parent, in this case, the div, is the block level element. So the tags or the span, these are the inline level elements. And we can't use these transform translate properties, right? We can't use the properties. So what's the solution here? How we can just figure this out? Well, it's easy. We can apply these transform properties to inline level elements if we manipulate the display property, right? So we can say here, display to block, save it. Let's go back here. Look at this, guys. Look, so I've make the inline level element to act as a block level element, and then we can just apply the transform properties. And I hope you understand how we can apply all of these properties on the transform, right? So next is to create a little project, and this will be a project about image gallery, and we will apply everything that we have learned so far. So I hope you're gonna like the next project. Okay, welcome to the first project. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this. Let's see, we have 4 images here, and if I hover them, they're going up and they're fading. That's good. So they're going up and fading, all of them. And plus they're rotated on some angle. So 99% of the things that I'm going to show you in this project we have already covered, except this part where the image is going slowly up in a very good, nice, smooth transition. So that transitions we're going to cover in the next part, but don't worry, it's only 1 line of code and you can get it. Now, if you want to learn which elements are block and level, HTML block and inline elements, you can just Google this. And yeah, these are the block level elements and these are the inline level elements. Tongue twister. So here, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to say project gallery. And I'm not going to explain everything here, okay? Please. So I'm going to create index.html and let's put here project gallery. Good. Now inside here I'm gonna, what did I do? Inside here, no, we don't need this one. Inside here I'm gonna create, let me select this one, a folder for CSS and another folder which I'm not gonna use for IMG. Here you're gonna put all of the images if you want. By the way, look at this. When I refresh, new images are coming. And we're going to learn how we can do that as well. Good. So in the CSS, I'm going to add the style.css. How cool is this? We don't need this part. And let's link this CSS, right? And here we need to do the correct path. There you go. There you go. Everything is working. Now, in the HTML, here, I'm going to have a container with 4 images. So the name of that container will be image container. Container like this. And inside I will have figure times 4. So I will have 4 figure elements. Inside these figure elements, I'm going to have IMG element. Oops, what's happening here? IMG. And this IMG element will have, something was messing around with me, we'll have a class of image. Okay, now let me just make sure that this is readable like this. So basically we have 4 figures and inside image, and I'm going to define the source real quick where the images are coming, and alt. This is the alternative description. Also, we're going to have the fig caption. This one here. And the fig caption will be, so say here, winter 2023. We can have here summer 2020. So these are the memories, guys. You can write whatever you want. Spring 2025. See, we are so far in the future. And here the last one will be 2026 or with autumn. Right? Cool. Now, the source will come from a website called Unsplash. HTTPS unsplash.it, and here we will have 300/300, and let me just copy this part, the source. I'm just gonna explain it. Don't worry about it. Let's copy the entire thing. And here we need to change some things. Here will be 400 by 400, 200 by 200, and 500 by 500, right? So if I save this, and if I, let me just open this one again. Look what I will have. 4 images that are coming somewhere online. So this somewhere it's Unsplash. So this is the website. From here, you can get any image you want for free. For example, now if you don't want this approach, just gonna comment. I'm gonna tell you here. In the image folder, let's target for winter. Okay, let's do this. And let's download the small one. And it's coming from Boxwater. Okay. That was first for me. Boxwater is better. Nice. Doesn't matter. So I'm just going to drag this one and drop it in the images, right? You can rename it if you want. And I'm just going to copy it from here. And let me show you how you can load up an image from your actual folder. So I'm just here, IMG, SRC, and here I'm going to go image, then the name of the image, right? And in the alt, poof, shoo. Make sure that you cite the author, okay? That's what I always do. And if I now refresh, here it is. So this is how you can grab physical images stored in your folder. But I'm not gonna do this, okay, guys? I just want every time I refresh, another image, so my gallery will be always awesome and super cool. Good. Now we have the image class, so we can target all of this. So we are done here, ladies and gentlemen. Here, alt, you can write whatever you want. That's alternative description in case the images is not loaded. Okay. So here, let's start with styling our HTML. So in the body, all I want to do is the font size to be 20 pixels, for example, and the color, of the text, I want it to be black. So I'm going to use this. Nothing changes, everything remains the same. Now let's target this image container, this here. Now the image container holds 4 images, and I want the images to be side by side. So I can do this display flex. So I can do this very easily. And I want to justify the content. I want to be spaced evenly. Look what will happen. Wow, this is super, super cool. Now I have created a lecture for this. If you want, I can just link it down below, right? Or you can see it popping up here. If you don't know what display flex is and how you can do all of those things with the containers, how to do different layouts, well, this is something that I've explained, and I'm not going to cover it here because that's not the point. Now next is to make sure that all of these images, 1, 2, 3, 4, they have the same width and height. So I can do here, I can target the image, all of them by one same class, and I can set the height to be 350 pixels, and I can set the width to be 350 pixels. Let's see what's happening. Look, all of them are super, super, super nice. Now, I just want to add here to this figure a little bit different color, right? Actually, we're gonna add a lot of things in the figure. So let's say that I want the background to be this color. It's in between, it's not clear white, okay? Good. You can't notice much change. But let's do a box shadow and you will see, I hope you understand how box shadow is working. 5 pixels and why I'm doing all this here the way I'm doing. RGBA, and here I will have 0, 0, 0, and the opacity should be, and the opacity should be 0.6. Save it, and now, oh, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. How cool is this? Let's add the border. Let's add a very thick border here on the sides. This will make something interesting. Look, so border will be solid 12 pixels, 12 pixels, and again, this color. Nice. Look, instead of adding paddings and things like that, I just add the border. How cool is this? Yeah, if you do inspect, I'm gonna do it here, and yep, here it is, the border. Look, there's the border. How cool is this, guys? If I take out the shadow, nice. Okay, what's next? Well, I just want to make sure that these images are dropped down by 150 pixels. So I'm just gonna say position relative. Oops, and I just wanted to drop 100, let's say 200 pixels. There you go. So we have 200 pixels. If you're not sure what I have done, again, right click, inspect, go back to your figure, and look at this. Here, if I unselect it, there's the top 200 pixels. So I moved top 200 pixel, and I'm gonna use this for the transition later. Okay, don't worry about it. And I'm pretty much done here. So what I want to do now is to be able to select each of these, not classes, each of these images and rotate them. So how I can do this? Instead of creating different class names, I can target the figure like this and the child. Figure, then NTH child. And here I'm gonna pass the number of, or which child I want to rotate. In this case, it's gonna be the first one. So transform, rotate, and I'm gonna give it a positive 10 degrees. Look at this. It looks very, very nice. Okay, now let's do 1, 2, 3. Let's change this to 2. Let's change this to 3. And this to 4, and here we're gonna have a different, actually you can play around with these values. So let me just -10, this the last one 20, and this one, let's do -39, save it, and let's see what's happening. Cool. If I refresh, nice. Oops, come on. There you go. Now everything is done except the hover. Okay, now I'm just gonna do it here. Figure, hover. So when I hover on the figure, what I want to do? Well, let's first change the opacity to, what you think? To very low, 0.1. There you go. And I want the cursor, when I hover it, the cursor of my mouse to be pointer. Poof, nice. So what else I want? Well, I want this image to go up to its initial position. I just want this 200 pixels to become a 0. Boom, 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 boom. Good. Maybe not two, maybe like 10 because they're, okay, doesn't matter. We can just leave it to 0. Good. And plus, I have zoomed this one in 110, so if I go back to normal, it even looks better, okay? Now, this is something we haven't covered. Now, on the parent, I just want to add the transition. And it's one line, and we're gonna learn it all in the next section. So I'm gonna target all of the transitions. So all is the keyword. How long it should last? Let's say 1 second, and how the transition should be. Ease, the different one, ease in, ease out. I'm just gonna use the ease, and let's see. Ooh, nice. Another thing that I don't like is the text. Position of the text is way here. So let's do the figure, text align, center. Now that should fix. And the image caption, we forgot to add class image caption. Now this class can be added in each of these fig caption elements. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I can call that image caption. I can target it here and say font size of what? 24 pixels. Looks pretty much good. Now I don't like the font. So what I can do with that font? Well, let's say Google Fonts. Google Fonts, there you go. Now I know what font I'm going to, so here you can search. So I think the font was, not sure, but Nanum. Sorry if I don't pronounce it good. Nanum Pen Script. Here it is. I'm gonna select this one. And I've already selected this, why it's here, it's showing. All you need to do is to grab the link after you add it here. So for example, remove, right? And let me just, I can't remove all of them, right? Selected families, select regular, and I lost the families now. I've touched it somewhere. Give me 1 second to figure out how to return all of this back. Here it is. Good. Now, so after you select it, probably going to be a little bit different, but copy this link here or click here, and you need to paste it into the head of your HTML. Ooh, look at this. And let me just make it a little bit better. Good. Now, we can use that font into the body, and all we need to do is to target this font family. And then look at this, guys. This looks so nice. Cool. So we have the transition, we have the transform, everything that we learned. We have added a box shadow as well. So yeah, and we learn how to use images from our folder or just like this. They're coming from somewhere online. So take care, and I'll see you in the next section where we're gonna learn about this, how we can use transitions like professionals. Welcome to the new lecture. In this lecture, we're gonna learn about CSS transitions. So what I did, I've created a folder called Trans1, and I've put the CSS in the index file there. So the CSS goes into CSS folder, the index file is here, and inside the index file, I have H1 and a div container, and also I link the CSS. So you can do this without wasting your time. And the other thing I did, I also create a transition folder where I'm gonna put different folders, and all of the files we worked before, including the project gallery from the last lecture, I copied everything and I put it in transform 1, and this should be transition 2, trans 2, because this is the second section, and here it will start complaining, right? So what we need to do is go here, file, open folder, tackle that transition 2. Now inside, as I mentioned, we have trans 1, that's for the first lecture, and nothing special. So if we go live, we're gonna have only the CSS transition, or we're gonna have only the H1 element showing, because the trans container, it's not being styled. So what we're gonna do here, well, let's style the body, just give him a basic color. So background color, beige, and then let's tackle the trans container. And this bad boy, well, let's say that it should have a height of 300 pixels and width of 300 pixels, right? Also, let's say that the background color should be black. Cool. Now, if everything is saved, if you go back, this is what you get. Now, let's spice it a little bit up, this one. Let's say the border radius, make it 50%, so this black container square will be now a circle. Cool. So how I'm gonna explain you the CSS transitions? Well, this property takes few values, and let me just write them for you here. So let's say transition property. Sorry if I misspelled anything, guys. So first one is the property that we want to transition, property name. The second one is the duration. The third one is the timing function. We're gonna cover all of this, don't worry. This is the syntax of the transition property. You will see. And the last one will be the delay, okay? Now, this should be a comment in here. So let's make a transition to the background color property. So when I hover this circle, I just want the background color to change or to transition from black to violet. So how we can do this? Well, it's easy. Trans container on hover. First, I want the mouse to be a pointer. Cursor pointer, not mouse. And now if I go back here, it's a pointer. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. Now what's next? Well, I said that I want to change the background color to blue violet. Save it. Boom. But the change is instant now without this, using this CSS transitions. Now the CSS transition should go here in the parent container, in this one, not on the hover state. Okay. So what we need to do? Well, transition. First, we need to use the keyword transition, and then to say which property we want to transition. And in our case, that is the background color. And we need to always specify the duration. Let's say 2 seconds. Save it. Now, if you go back here, wow, look at this. Now, the color is changing, not instantly, gradually, 2 seconds, right? And we can also write 2000 milliseconds. So 2000 milliseconds is 2 seconds. So we can use milliseconds or seconds. I prefer seconds, it's cleaner. So if we want very fast transition, 0.5 seconds is half second. Okay, good. One more thing. For example, this is a circle now, but what if I want this circle, when I hover, to expand its height and width, to just increase this? So what I can do, look, boom. The height and width is instant, but the transition on the background color, it's smooth. Look at this. So how I can use here to target all of these, the background color, the height and width. So how I can target multiple property names? Well, I can do that with the keyword. Just gonna comment this one so you have it. So transition, not transform, sorry guys. Transition all 2 seconds. This keyword all targets everything. And there you go. Now you have a smooth transition. So this is very nice. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the rest of these properties in the next lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk about transition timing function. But before that, I just want to show you that we can just set this transition not to be in one line, but in different syntax. So I can target the property name and the duration just like this. Transition property and say all, just in our case, and transition duration should be 2 seconds. Now this basically is the same one as this, but it's getting a little bit longer. It's a different syntax. So if you want to use it, now you know how that you can use it like this, but it's much more cleaner like this. Okay, so I'm gonna close here and I'm gonna copy this folder. I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna rename it to trans2. Okay, make sure everything is closed here. You're working in the correct file and say here trans2. Good. And you can say here timing function. Right. So the transition timing function has a few elements. Right. We're gonna cover them all. Now in the styles, let's clean all of this. Let's get rid of this container here. And the timing function can take few values. Ease in, ease out, ease in and out, linear, step start, step end. Okay, we're gonna see all of them in 1 minute. Okay, now we need also to do a couple of changes here. I want this trans container to be inside parent container, and let's grab this one here and put a name here, test, right? Or ease only, right? Now, no, we need to just this one, go live. There you go. The ease is not centered, so I was hoping it's gonna be here, but it's not, and probably you were hoping. So what we can do here, we can just set display flex, justify content to be center and align items to be center, save it. Now, oops, you are actually gonna be able to see it because I have already highlighted, but because it's a black color, the font should be a different color, like white. And let's make it font size, let's make it 23 pixels. And let's change this to 100, 100, everything else, it's okay. There you go. Now, the idea with this transition timing function is to move this element from here to this, so to somewhere here, using this transition timing function. Now, how we can do this? Well, for that, I'm going to apply the timing function, this one, and I'm going to use a class called ease. Now, I can target that class here very easily, but before that, I just want to say here, I just want to say parent container. When I hover it, I want to select the trans container, and I want the cursor to be pointer, and I want to move it margin left 400 pixels, and I want the background color, oops, not origin background color, to be like green or green yellow, like this. Now, so what I did here, when I hover it, it's gonna jump, right? From one position to another position, because I move it 400 pixels to the right side. This 400 pixels, margin left, will move it horizontally. So it's positive 400 pixels, okay? Now, let's add here a transition. So let's say here, all 2 seconds, save it. Good. It's working, right? Now, let's target this ease class here. Ease, and what I can do, transition timing function like this, and I'm gonna say ease. And I'm gonna just do that. Good. Let's comment this one. It's not working. Let's uncomment. So this is how the ease is working, but I'm gonna change it from 2 seconds to 1 second. Look, so ease is happening when we do the hover effect, right? So the ease timing function starts slowly and then accelerate, right? So now we can define another element in the HTML, so we can just test the ease in timing function. So copy this one here, ease in, and here just call it ease in, like that. And now we can test this one. Oops. Ease in, is in. Go back here. Let's add margins here. Margin 10 pixels. There you go. Now look, when I hover it, the ease is faster than the ease in. Look, this one starts slowly, accelerates, and then slows down. So the first one is way more faster than the second one, right? So it will reach the target very fast. So ease in gets even more smooth effect. Good. So what else we can do? Well, now, as you can see the difference, ease in starts slowly and then speeds up at the end. So let's do the ease out, another one, so you can see the difference. And ease out is only, we need to change the class that we're gonna target, and ease out like this. We can do even ease in. Now here, ease out. Whoops, look at this, the difference. Ease out. This is happening with the ease out. The ease out starts faster and then slows. Look, faster, then slows down at the end. Ease out. All right. Now another one, ease in and out. So it's a combination between this first one. Oops. No. Ease in out. Ease in out. Will I have space here? Not really. I don't like it. Let's change the font now to 18 pixels. Okay, better. Now we need to target this ease in and out. And we need to change the timing. So I hope I've done it. Yeah, good. Now we can test it out. Look at this, ease in and out. It's the last one that's gonna reach the place. Okay, so ease in and out compares, so as you can see how ease in out compares to the other transitions. Now another one we can use is called the linear, and this linear is used a lot, and that's why I'm going to show you linear, and here we're going to target the linear class. Everything else remains the same, right? Boom. Save it. Let's see. Linear. As you can see, it's very similar to the ease on top. So linear is doing this steadily going, speeding and slowing down. So linear, very good. And now this has the same speed throughout entire duration, constantly, to be honest. Now there is two that I want to show you: step start and step end. And here we can copy this 2 times because I want step start and step end, step start, step end. Okay, we haven't done anything yet here. And you will see what step start and step end. Step start. So you can call the class whatever you want, guys. Step end, ST or SAE, whatever you want. But I just want to use this. No, I mixed it. So you can just, by the way, it's not very smart to do this. So you have the same as the, look, this is a keyword. It's a different color. So you don't want to use the class, but because it's a class, you can get away with it. Step end. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Nice. Look, step start, and I need to zoom out a little bit, right? So step start, when I hover it, step start will jump, and the step end will reach the end when this 1 second is the duration is out, right? So step start immediately starts when the hover, the parent container, right? And jumps at the end, and the step end will wait until the end of the duration. Actually, whatever we passed here. That's why it's like with steps. Nice. If you need, I'm not sure how many people are using this, but it's good to know. Now, the next one is called cubic bezier or bezier. I'm not sure how you can pronounce it. And this function is more complex because it takes 4 parameters. And let's do Google here, cubic bezier, write this. And when you Google it, the cubic-bezier.com, go there. And here, look, you can test all of these functions, right? You can test all of these functions. You can click go and it will show you. You can change all of these settings here. And as I mentioned, that cubic bezier has taking 4 different parameters, right? And this is a little bit more complex. But for that, I'm not gonna just waste your time, and you can see here what is happening. And you can also test all of this, right? So you can go here, the cubic bezier, you can make it to be even like this. Look, see if I click go, you wanna see it again? Look, it starts very fast, then it slows down, and then shoots up again. Boom. And the ease is like this. The linear, it will be constant. Look, now you're comparing two things. Linear, constantly speed. And this one, you're playing with the values on X and Y axis, right? And let's do this. This one looks a little bit more like easing, right? Let's make it this one even more crazy. Start slowly, shoots up, and then slows a little bit at the end. Start slowly, shoots up. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now I have shown you the transition timing functions, and yeah, you can test all of this. You can copy it here if you want, and you can use it, right? Like this. But yeah, I'm not gonna waste your time any longer with this one, as long as you know. Also, you can just go on Google and say MDN CSS Transition or animation, and you can read more about them here, okay? So I love MDN website because it's a very popular one, and it's a very thorough. It includes everything that you need. So I just want you to give you the shorthand syntax, right? So here I have gone through each and every value that the transition timing function can have, right? Ease in, ease in, out, linear, step in, step, and cubic bezier. Actually, let's create that cubic bezier, right? So I don't want any one of you complaining that I haven't done it. CB here, and cubic bezier, and all we need to do is to CB here and transition timing function. And let's go back here. Oops. Let's go back to our Google, copy this one. So you can create whatever you want like this. You can copy it from here, paste it, oops, save it, and let's test this out, test to see if it's working. Look, so the cubic bezier function takes 4 parameters. This is x1, y1, x2, and y2 coordinates. And these coordinates will enable you to create more powerful transitions. So there you go. The lastly is that we don't have to define the transition timing functions like this. I have done it, and I've created different containers because I wanted to show you how they look and compare to each other, okay? But we can also do it like this. Just gonna copy this one, comment, and linear. Now, it's not gonna show here because I've added the classes. Select everything, comment, so they're not gonna work now. So first we have the property name, then we have duration in second, then we have the timing function. So this is much more cleaner way instead of doing like this. And all of them, they will have the same effect. So if I go ease in and out, good. This is what you need to do, what you need to know about transition. Now, I'm going to leave this here, this lecture, because in the next one we need to talk about the delay only. Now let's talk about the delay, right? So what I'm going to do, I don't want to confuse you. This is very easy to understand, but let me just do this. I'm just gonna copy the entire folder and rename it and call it trans3, right? Close everything here, and let's work in this file, all right? And also, we don't need all of this. We need only one. And let's call it here delay. And we don't need even the ease. Okay, so here I'm going to do this. Let me just, oh yeah, we can just leave that one there. The parent container, we still have it. What else we need to? We can delete most of the things, and here it's complaining because of that one. So there you go, save it. Now let me just open this one, stop the previous one, go live. And that's not the one that I was hoping. And make sure that you save the changes. So go live again. Timing function, delay, just rename it so you know what's happening. Okay. Save it, everything should be saved. Now here, if we do this, it's gonna work because in the CSS, we have the transition set to 1 second. The timing function is easy in and out, right? And the delay, we can set after this parameter here. And the delay is also in seconds or milliseconds. So if you want to be 1 second, you do it like this. If you want to be in milliseconds, you say 1000 milliseconds, okay? But 1 second is cleaner. Save it and go back. It's gonna wait for 1 second, and after that, the transition will start, right? It's gonna be more obvious if we do it 2 seconds. Right, that's it. So this is the delay duration. This was the duration of the entire transition, and this was the delay. How long we want to wait before the transition happens. There you go. Now you know everything about here. In the next part, we are going to do a project, and this will be about HTML links, how we can create some very nice HTML links, and when we hover them, some things that will happen. Okay? And the transition, we're going to use all of this because we want when those hover effects to be super, super nice. This will be our next project, and we are going to create these awesome animations on our links. These are links, so you can click on them, they should go somewhere. But in our case, they will not be actual links. They will not go to anywhere. So if you click it here, see, it's going to be hash. So the first link that we try to do is this products. So open your VS Code, close everything you have. So copy the last, rename it to links like this, and make sure that you work on that file. Okay, so the files that you're going to open should be this one, right? So make sure it's links, and the H1 should be links. Now here I'm going to just remove this parent container class, and I'm going to type links, and inside I will have, let's make it a little bit nicer, href link. All right, so it will not go to anywhere, and this is the place where you type www if you want to go to any URL, or if you want to go to a particular page like index.html. So this is the part where you specify where the link should take you when you click on it. Now here I'm going to add a class called products, and products links, and there you go. Here, products, save it. Let's close this one, go live. This is what we have so far. Let's style it a little bit. Here we have different things. I'm gonna delete all of it, right? Now, the background color can remain the same. Let me just close here. The next thing that I want to show you is we need to make this one display flex and flex direction column. What else we need here? So let's align the items into center. Nice. And let's see. There you go. Everything is styled perfectly. Here I need to zoom in a little bit. So links and all of the items we're going to put here, all of the links will be because of this flex direction column. Now let's add font family. I'm gonna use Roboto, and that is sans serif. But before, we need to include that one here. So what I want you to do is go to Google Fonts and go to the feature collections. Now here it is. I have this one. So what you need to do is to search for a font. Search it here, Roboto, and yep, so this is the one, and you can add this font, right? So remove, select, and it will create a link like this for you. Mine is already have different things inside, but the main thing that it is including Roboto. So I'm just gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste it here. So not only Roboto, I can use the previous one that I said, Nanum, PenScript, right? And different things. So, but you know how to use this one. It's very easy, right? So if you want to remove, you're gonna remove it from here. And if you want to select, the link will change. If you want to remove it, the link will change again. And yeah, select medium, for example. If you click on this one, it's gonna give you this 900 or 500, sorry, here. Okay, there you go. Now we can start. Let's style this link a little bit. So we add the fonts, everything is working. Make sure that you save it. Now we need to style the product links, right? Or link only. So this is the link we're trying to style, right? So first things first, let's say text decoration to none. Then let's say color black. And if I do this, let me just open this side by side to see what's happening. So if I save this, there you go. I don't have the decoration anymore. Now let's transform this to text transform. Text transform to uppercase. I want everything here to be uppercase. And I miss this one. There you go. Now let me just do this. Make it better like that. Great. Now we have the products links. Link is way better. Now we can add letter spacing if we want. Let's say 1 pixels, and that will add a space between the letters. Good, perfect. So let's add the line below. Let me just zoom this one in. Let's add this line below the product. So how we can add this line? Well, I can use the pseudo class after, because it's going to be after or below this product's description. So I'm gonna target the products links like this, and then after, come on. And now I will say the content should be empty string, display block, good. Then let's add background color. Let's add goldenrod, this one, and add the height of 3 pixels. Save it. Whoops, there it is. There is the line that we hear, but I don't like it's having a sharp edges. If you can see it, there's a sharp edges, so we can fix that if we are just saying border radius 3 pixels. There you go. Now it's a little bit nicer. Do I have the same effect here? Yeah, I do have the same effect here. So I add the border radius and it's getting those edges so they're not sharp now. I have the height. Now we can add the width 100% to always occupy that space. And let me just put this one below the height. And I think we are done here. Now the next thing, what we want to do, so the idea is when I hover this, the line height 3 pixels to be visible, right? So if I change the opacity now, and one more thing, let's add margin top of 2 pixels. I just want to move this line a little bit down. There you go. You can increase if you want. And I can hide this one with opacity of 0. Cool. So now all I need to do is to create that hover effect. So what I'm going to do, product link, and then hover first. Then I want to select the after state, and I want to opacity to give the opacity again to 1, because when it's 0, it's hidden. When it's 1, the opacity will be there. There you go. Now pretty much is working, but we don't have this, we don't have this smooth transition, right? So it's working. Everything that we did, it's working. And even this one, we can just shrink it to height of 0 pixels, right? But now we need to increase that height here, right? Height of 3 pixels. There you go. Now everything is working. All we need to do is to add the transition here, and it's gonna be all 0.2 seconds and ease in. So that's the timing function that I want to use. You can use different one if you want. So let's check. Boom. Perfect. Did you like it? I think it's awesome. So it's the same as this one. Cool. Now you know how you can style this link when we hover to have this underline below. Okay? Take care. Let's work on the second link. So when we hover, as you can see, the underline goes from left to right, just like loading, right? So how we can do this? Well, here, I'm gonna copy this one, I'm gonna paste it, and here, name it to loading, like that. And what else we need to do? Well, so here we need to add a different classes. So I'm gonna add a class basic reset, and I'm gonna reuse the same class here, basic reset. Now if I go here, it's gonna be loading like that. But now I will change this to link 1. So you can add more meaningful names if you want. There is no problem. So what I have done, I've added the same class here, basic reset, and why I do that? Let's go back here. So before it was product links, and now I want to use the same styling for both of these links, same basic styling. Any further styling that I'm gonna do here for the loading, it's gonna be done through this class, but the basic styling should be done through here. So I'm just gonna change this to basic reset, and I'm gonna save it. Now this is working fine. This is working fine as well. Before, just gonna show you. Look, so we change from this to this. Now both of them, they have the same basic style, text decoration none, spacing transform to uppercase because of this basic reset. Cool. Now we need to do is to make the underline to go from left to right. So how we can do this? Well, let's target this class, products, link 1 after, because I have added different class here, link 1. I hope you see this, right? And this one here, so we would like to make the underline here to go from left to right when we hover, right? But first, let's use the after pseudo class and say content. It will be, well, let me just copy most of the things from here, paste them. And we're gonna delete some of the things that we don't need. So background color will be blue, right? Because we had blue here. So background color will be blue. The height will be 3 pixels, right? The width here will be 10%. You will see why. The border radius should remain the same. Margin top should remain the same. Opacity, let's trigger it to like that and save it. Wow, look at this. We have the starting part. So we have loading the underline in the loading link here. And this is because of this 10%. So if I make it 100%, it will go from one end till the other end, okay? Now, we also need to space them a little bit. And for that, I'm going to use this links class. Let me just go here on top here and add links. And I'm just gonna add margin 20 pixels. Look at this. Now let's go back here, change this to 10%. We can just get rid of that 10% later, but this is gonna start from here and it goes to there. And now you got the idea. So when we do the hover, we're gonna animate this width. So we're gonna move it back to 100, right? So let's see how we can do this. Well, it's very easy. I'm going to say product links. Here I'm gonna use hover, and then I'm gonna use the after state, and I'm gonna switch the opacity back to 1, and here I need to change it to 0, okay? And this one to 0 as well. So opacity 1 and width 100. And look, so when I hover it, boom. It's working, but we can't see it because it's instant. Now, we need to add the transition and polish few things, right? So first things first, add the transition. So I'm going to use the keyword all here, and I'm gonna say 0.3 seconds, and I want this to be linear, like this. Opacity 0, width is 0, good. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now you have a working link that is identical as this one. This one is not, it looks bigger because I've zoomed out a little bit more. And yeah, let me add here a second link, loading, and make this as a comment so you know where the second link is starting, right? Good. I used basic reset because I would like to use this class for all of the links so I don't rewrite the same styles for all of the links that I'm gonna put in future, okay? So take care, the second link is done. Let's work on this. So as you can see, when I hover on this link, it starts from the middle and goes stretching left and right. So this one was started from the left and goes to the right, and this one starts from the middle. And we are going to see here different approach. I'm just gonna close this. I'm gonna create another one, and I'm gonna say product links to basic reset, and let's add 3 dots so it looks same like this. There you go. Because of this basic reset, I immediately have styled link, right? Now let's open this one. I think we are done there. So let me just write link 3, make a comment there. So for here, I'm gonna do things a little bit different. I'm gonna use position absolute to position this underline here, right? And yeah, and also we are going to use transform scale this time. So, right? So we're gonna use transform scale. So first things first, when we try to use position absolute and position relative, we need to find the parent of our product link 2. So the parent is this links class, and we already have defined this links class. So what I need to do here is to say, okay, position relative here. It will not change anything, right, for this, but we need to state that this is a position relative, and let's add background color of white. Good. As you can see, we're gonna remove this color a little bit later. You will see why. Now here, I'm going to target this product links to an after state. And here I am going to say the content will be empty string, then position will be absolute because this is the child, right? Good. Now let's use a height of 3 pixels and let's use the width of 100% and make sure that we have a background color of let's say blue. And look what's happening. There is the underline, but because of the position absolute, we can just put it right below here. So how we can do this? Well, we need to use a couple of things. For example, left, it should start from 0, right? The right can start from 0 as well. Good. And now bottom from 0%. And you can add percent here. Good. How cool is this? So we have done pretty much all of the things we need. Now let's add border radius 2 pixels and opacity of 1. Then we're gonna fix this opacity, right? Now this bottom, if you move it 10%, look, it goes up. If you do minus 10%, it will go there. Okay. Now I can just remove this background color. Good. So this is how we can use position absolute to position the after line. Okay. So all we need to do is to scale this element using the transform scale property. And so when I do hover, it should scale both. It should go left and right, right? It should move. So what we need to do is change the opacity to 0, right? So we're going to hide it. And now I'm going to say hover, then after, like that. And I will say transform scale X of 1. Now you're not going to see it because we also need to change the opacity to 1. And you only see the underline because this is happening fast, right? So you don't see any transformation. So we need to add actual transformation in the parent. Transition, sorry, not transformation, transition, all 0.5 seconds. I think it should be okay. And linear, right? Good. Now, it's not the effect that we are hoping because we can do transform here. Scale X means horizontally, left and right, and it's gonna be 0. Look. There you go. Now I start from 0 and I scale it back to 1. Okay? Cool. Now even if you hide the width here, it's gonna work. Okay? How cool is this? So everything so far is working and we have done this. So next is we are going to work on this link here where we have both sides starting from the middle. Okay. So the hover effect that we're trying to aim here is going to be very similar to this one. Okay. So all we need to do, go back to the index, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what actually I'm trying to achieve here. And let's do this product links 3, and you can put on here whatever name you want. I'm just going to use both sides. Yep, we are done with this. So links, product links, and this one. Now here, just going to copy this, make it. Now we are going to recreate this part here, but before I'm just gonna turn on the width, and this should be green, and let's remove this and also make sure that you are targeting the correct link. So save it, go back here, and the hover is not done, right? Let's add the hover, make sure that you change this to 3, oops, not 4, and yeah, good. Now the bottom side is similar to this one because It's not same, but because we turn off the transition things, but actually we have it there. And if I turn on the opacity, it's gonna be there. Okay, now the same thing for the underline that goes on top. We need to just use another pseudo class called before. All right, so here everything gonna be pretty much same, and instead of the bottom I need to target top. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now if I go here -20, it's gonna be even better, and -20 here, it's gonna be better. Okay, this looks much nicer now. So what we need to do now, I already have the hover effect for the after, where I turn up the opacity. So let's turn the opacity back to 0 here for both of them, so we're not gonna see them. So when I hover, this one is working. Now let's recreate the same one for before state, and let's see. Yeah, both of them, they're showing. Now all we need to do is to turn on the transform and transition, and one of them is not working. Only oh yeah, I need to turn on this transition as well. Good. So see, it's the same as this one. Let's check. They have a different color, right? I use some probably different green, a little bit lighter green. Let's change to maybe 20, like here, 27, 181. Oops, I'm in the wrong one. There you go. Now this one is much more better than the original green we have. It's a lighter color. Ooh, nice. Blue, blue, and you can change this blue for the links too. Let me just show it to you. A little bit different color like that. There you go. So it's not the same. Cool. Now you know how to create this effect when we hover and the underline goes from the middle to the both sides. And let's animate the last link. Look at this one. So when I hover, the original text, it's disappearing and about me is showing up. Okay, so this one's gonna be a little bit more complex, but it's okay, we can do it. So I'm gonna close this part here. Let's do the index. So here I'm gonna copy this, and inside I will use the same products links for basic reset, and here instead of both sides I'm gonna add a span here. Okay, and this span can have a class of original description, but the original description should have been here. And let's say my portfolio. Good. So let's go back here. Here it is, my portfolio. But here, if you don't know, in this tag, we can add another additional attribute called data. So we can target this attribute. So I'm gonna say data, and this appear data text or like that. Now I'm gonna go here and gonna say about me. Save it. You're not gonna be able to see anything, but let's do this. So remember, in the before or after state, we always use the content to be equal to empty string. But now we can target the content of this data text here. So let's do this. It's gonna be very interesting, and you're gonna learn something new. And this is probably link 4, right? So all I need to do is to, let me grab this one so I don't type it again. So product links 4, and I'm gonna target the after state again. Now here, what I'm going to do is, instead of content to be equal to empty string, I'm gonna say attribute like this, and inside I'm gonna say data text, because we are targeting this bad boy here, about me. So data text is the one that contains. So content should be equal to attribute data text. And now I want the position of this to be placed 100% below. Oh, actually it's here, but I want to position it 100% below here, below my portfolio. So how I can do this? Well, I can use position absolute. And this is gonna work because the position, where was it, links? Here it is. We already say that the links or the parent is position relative before, right? So I can reuse that one. So position absolute, then I'm gonna say left to be 0, right to be 0 again. Then I'm gonna say bottom to be minus 100%. And there you go, we have it. Now I'm gonna, opacity should be 1 for now, so I can see what we see, okay? Now, these two are not aligned, so what we can do, we can say text align to be centered. It's better now, right? So we have done a good job. Now, let's hide this one. So when I hover it, let's hide the original description. So I'm gonna hide the original description saying my portfolio. So how I can do this? Well, look, products, links, 4, and I'm gonna target the hover state, right? And original description. I think description was like this. Yeah. Make sure that you are not misspelling your class names, otherwise it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna say opacity to 0. Now let's hover it and see what's happening. There you go. My portfolio, it's not longer visible when I hover. So now we need to make the new text to appear, and we can make that to look that is coming from below. So I'm just gonna copy this. So product links for hover, and then I'm gonna target the after state, right? This about me part. After, and here I'm gonna say opacity to 1. But now I need to change the opacity here to 0, okay? So opacity to 1, and I'm gonna say transform, translate, Y direction, because Y is this vertical direction. And if I give a negative value, if you remember, it's gonna start from bottom. Good. It's working, but you don't see that transition. So what we need to do is to go here, and I'm gonna say original description, right? So we need to add a transition to all. Let's do 0.2 seconds. I want this to be quicker. So linear, let's see. Yeah, it's getting there. Transition all 0.2 seconds, but now we need to add also the transition here to the after state. So transition all, and make sure that you give the same. There you go. It's cool, it's working. Very good. So it's a little bit shaky, but because that I don't put my mouse correctly, now it's working perfectly. Okay, there you go. This was the last part for this awesome link. So we created this one. So you can just make this one a little bit faster if you change this to 0.3, right? So you don't need that one. And let me check. I think we have covered everything. There you go. So all of these links are awesome, and you can use it in your projects. So you have learned how we can style links, but now we need to learn how we can style buttons, because in our website, we always have buttons that need some attention and styling, and we always have icons. So in this project, we will learn how to do all of this. Now, first things first, I'm just gonna close this one, links. I'm just gonna copy it and I put it here, and let's say cool buttons, short for buttons, is BTN. Okay. Now here the CSS. Let me just delete everything, right? Or I'm just gonna delete this part here because it's not gonna be for us. And yeah, let me delete the body as well. So the index is also gonna be a little bit different. Okay. So here I will say cool buttons, and I want to have a section, HTML element, and this section will have a class called cool buttons. And inside this section is where we're gonna place all of the buttons. In the buttons, let me just say it like this: button, they will have a class BTN, BTN basics, and this one will be the same as a basic reset that we did with the links, right? So we're going to use this class on all of the links. And let's do both of them in this lecture: expand and shrink, like this. But before we do this, let me wrap this button inside a div element. So div, actually I will say only BTN container, like this, and that will create me a div element where I can put the button. Good. Now I have the expand. All I need to do is to create another element, and let's call this one shrink. So we are not done yet, okay? We need to go back to a style and apply some CSS styling. Let's first start with this cool buttons, okay? So let's do it. Let's say here cool buttons, and I want this to be display flex, and I want to justify the content to be center. Good. And let me just make this live a little bit here. Port, go live, and it's saying here transition to yeah, okay, I'm working in the correct one. Yes, cool buttons. Now style and index file are done so far, right? Good. So let's go back to styles. So here it is, the expand and shrinks buttons are here, and I can zoom this one a little bit more now. So let's add the basic styles for all of our buttons, targeting this BTN basic class, right? And it will style both of these buttons, and all of the buttons we're gonna put here will have this style, right? So just wanna have the basic things. Now, let's say the font size, I want it to be 22 pixels. Save it. Here it is. It's bigger. Now, I also want the width of the button to be 250 pixels. You can make whatever width you want. Oops. Come on. There you go. Now, I want to apply a padding of 10 pixels and 20 pixels. And when I save it, check this part out. Look what's going to happen. So I'm going to save it here. A padding is applied. Okay. Now, I don't want the border to be visible. So border, none. Save it. Good. So yeah, they're now connected to each other. We don't see because we removed the border, so we can add 10 pixels margin, and yeah, there you go. So what else we can do here? Well, I can say cursor pointer. So when I hover them, there will be this, okay? Let's style this border radius. I want the border radius to be 20 pixel, and when I save it, check the borders. What will happen? Nice. They look like a pill now, okay? And I also would like to have a box shadow. So box shadow will be 5 pixels, 5 pixels, another 5 pixels, then 0 pixels, RGBA, and yep. And here I'm going to say 0, 0, 0, then 0.3. I think 0.3 is okay. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now you have a very nice shadow. Cool. So we have basically styled our buttons, but they're not like this because we still need to work on them. And I can zoom out this one a little bit, right? So it doesn't look that messy. Okay, so let's add 2 classes in our index file so we can target those 2 classes inside here. So where are we going to add these classes? Well, let's add them here. So this will be grow transition, and this will be the shrink tr. By the way, you can name your classes the way you want, okay? It's not so important, but make sure that you name your classes so in the way that you know what they're doing here, right? Okay, so we can style grow and shrink here, so we can target them. Let's target grow tr like this, and I just want to change the color to be this. As you can see, change it from black to white. Okay, now what I want to do is to add a background color, but for this I'm gonna use egg gradient. So go type on Google egg gradient, and this would be the link. Now here there are different gradients you can choose, and they're global warming, and I'm gonna go with this one, Jack Dorsey stock. So I'm gonna copy the CSS, go here and paste it. Now sometimes be careful when you paste it, it can missing things out, right? So make sure that you have everything. This column here, sometimes it can do this thing to you, okay? Because it has done it to me. Look, our project is getting better. So here I am probably just gonna change the angle a little bit. I'm just gonna use 180 degrees, and there you go. The angle is changed, and it will start from this. It will go to 74%, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, what I want to do here, when I want to hover, just gonna copy this one. Hover, I want this to happen, to expand, okay? So for this to happen, we need to what? We need to use the scale, transform scale property, and scale it 1.2 times, right? So it's actually, oops, look at this. It's getting bigger, but not too much, okay? So just 0.2 from the original size. And I also would like to play with the box shadow. When I hover, I want to have a different box shadow, a little bit more dramatic. And I'm gonna say 0 pixels, and here I'm gonna change 10, 15, and make this to 0.4 opacity. Save it, and let's see. See the button is growing, but also is the shadow is growing. Okay, and now we need to put the transition. Transition 0.3 seconds, for example, and linear. Let's try. Cool. Now we can do the same thing for the shrink, right? And let's see what the shrink does. It's shrinking. It's going on the opposite from the grow. Okay, so let's try to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this grow tr here and just rename it to shrink tr, and the color should be remain the same, but the background, actually we need to go back to the gradients and pick another gradient. Okay, so yeah, pick the global warming. It is this one. Copy it and paste it here. As you can see, look, the column is missing, and this can happen to you guys as well. And here I'm just gonna put it 360 degrees. Let me just see what's happening first. Yeah, 360 degrees. There you go. Now looks a little bit more natural. So I've picked the global warming gradient from here. You can go with any gradient you want. So the transition is there, and let's make it 2.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds, okay? And let's do the hover effect, shrink TR, hover effect. The box shadow will be different this time, right? It should looks like smaller. So it should not be bigger, smaller shadow. I hope this makes sense to you guys. And here the opacity will be 0.2. And we need to transform or scale this one down from 1% to 0.9. And let's see. Perfect, guys. So you have two buttons. One is expanding, one is shrinking. So we have done these first two parts. There you go. Congratulations. If you like so far, please like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever you do, you do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need to start working on this button. And it's changing the color when we hover it. And this is going to be very interesting because we haven't done something like this, okay? And it's not that hard. I just want you to follow me. So let's copy this entire container here and say color change. And instead of shrink TR, we need to use color TR. You can use whatever class you want. You can go back here. There it is with the basic styles. Now, if you notice this, the original project that I was working, the background for the body is different. Here we have beige color, and if I remove it, it will be white. Now here, from any page that you look, if you go inspect and go into the developer tools, you can find a lot of information there. For example, if I click on the body, I will see that this body has a font size of 20 pixels. So I can copy this one. I can even copy it from here, right? There's a font family Roboto, and the background color is this. So if I save it, now look at this. We have the same things. So this is how you can grab things from other things. And you can learn what I have done here, right? What sort of styles I have applied here. Family, Roboto, background color, everything is visible. Yeah. So if you go back there, it will read about anything on this page. Okay, doesn't matter. Now we have set everything. We have created the new button, and all we need to do is to style it. And let's say button 3 styles. So you know what we are doing here. Now I'm just gonna use the color TR. I'm not gonna add anything because the background is already being white, right? I'm not gonna change any, but I'm gonna reuse this class real soon. Now I can create the background. Oops. I can create the background of this button using a pseudo class. I'm gonna show you before, like this. So color TR before, and we can say width should be 100%. Height should be 100%, and let's add the content to be equal to this. Position, absolute. We're going to position this absolute based on this element, right? Because I tried to position it absolute, look what will happen. So background color, if I do orange red, save it, look what's happening. That's not good. Why? This is happening because we need to specify the position relative on the parent. Good. Now I can say top here 0%, left should be 0%, and voila, we are getting there. So left 0, top 0, width. Let's fix the border radius. Border radius should be 20 pixels, right? Height, we already set it, height and width, and yeah, for now, let's leave the opacity to be 1, visible like this. Look. There's the color. Now, let's do this. Finally, we need to hide this before element, right? So let's hide it using the 0. Yeah, there's a color change. And now we need to make it visible anytime we hover it. So let's do this. color tr. So when I unhover, I want to select the before state, and I need to change back the opacity to 1 and width to be 100%, right? Now let's change the width to 0 here so we can actually see this working. Good. I don't see the color change the text, but everything is working so far. Now, if we want this to be transition to be cool animation, 0.2 seconds, and then I will say ease out. Let's see. Wow, it's getting there. But we have one slight problem. The text, or this here, button color change, it's disappearing. So what we need to do is to actually wrap this one into a span. You'll see why in 1 second. So I'm gonna wrap it into a span and put the color change there and add class btn text. Now this class btn text I can target now, right? I can target in our CSS, and I can play with something that is called z-index, right? So I hope you understand these old terms, because this course is not the course for beginners or the people that don't know CSS, but I'm explaining everything, so don't worry about it. You still can follow what I am doing. Okay, so we need to make the span text to appear on top of the background, and we can use this z-index for this, right? So I'm just gonna say btn text like this, and let's say I'm gonna say position relative, okay? And now z-index should be, for example, 2. Now we also need to add, right? We also, it's very good to add z-index here in the before state, right? So z-index of 1, but it's working. Cool. Now all we need to do is to make sure that this background is same as this one, right? Ours is orange red, right? So we need to find which one? Edison broken bulb. Probably this one. And where we should put this one? Well, instead of orange red, I'm just gonna remove this. And again, the same problem that I was talking about before. It's missing this part. And let's go back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finished our button, and it looks identical as this. Cool. So we have one more button. It's called circle wave, and we are going to tackle this one in the next section. The last button that we're going to work on is this one. So we will create this hover effect. So it looks like a wave that's coming from one of the top left corner, and it's spreading. Okay, so what we need to do, go back to our index file and add the following. So this will be BTN basics and wave transition, right? Now here I will use circular wave, and BTN text 1 should be different from the other one, and that's pretty much it. Let's go to our CSS, and here it is. It's nothing happening. Now button 4. So we're gonna apply the styles here, button 4 styles, and we're gonna start with the wave dr, and we're gonna set this to be to position relative, because the before, like this, before will be position absolute. Okay, and the content will be empty string, position absolute, What else we need here? Well, we need to add the height. Let's add a small height, 100 pixels. Then we need a width of 100 pixels and see what will happen. Background color. Let's add this background color, 20 BF 55. Good. And this is what we get. Now let me zoom out a little bit. And this is what we get. We can always increase the size 300 to 300. Oops, not 3000. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, this is getting a little bit bigger than what I expect, but you can fix this. Now we can say here that I want the border radius to be 50%. 50%, save it. Good. Now we have that circle. All we need to do is to position that circle on the top left corner over here. Okay. So what I can do is do this way, so we can see whatever we're working on. Okay. Not this. Like that. Good. So we need to position the circle to the top left corner, and we already have position absolute here, so we can say top. Let's give it minus 100 pixels because I want to be there. Very good. Top is minus 100 pixels, and the left should be minus 10 pixels. There you go. Now everything is covered. So we have 300 pixels, 300 pixels. Everything is working. Now it will look like it will start from the left top corner, but let's hide the axis of green and see how this can be done. Now we can hide the axis of green here if we go to the wave DR and say overflow hidden, and there you go. Boom. There's no green. So we need to make the text visible. So remember, we can add the btn text1 z index 1 and position relative, right? And there you go. We have the text one. We can also add position here, z index of 2. There. Cool. We already have position relative there. Now finally we need to change the background color, and we need to do some sort of animation, right? So when we on hover, we need to do some sort of animation. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Well, let's tackle this problem. I'm going to say wave dr hover and before state. Oops. Before state. So here I want the height to be, let's change the height to be 0 pixels. 0 pixels. Okay. And I want the height and to be 300 pixels and width to be 300 pixels. Good. And I want here to add the transition all 0.2 seconds or 3 seconds. Let's see, linear. And let's see. Boom. Everything is working. Now, one more thing. Let's make this a little bit faster. We need to change the gradient, right? So we need to pick a different background color. And what we can do, we can go with this global warming, or I'm not sure what kind of color I've used. Let's see. I'm gonna go inspect here. And yeah, horizontal, where I can find it, btn text 1 before, here it is. So what I can do, I can copy this one from here, but that way you need to manually do it. Okay, now I'm just gonna use this copy CSS here, successful immigrant. Okay, I'm gonna remove it and make sure that you add the column there. I think it was successful immigrant. Sorry guys, I forgot what I have choose for. There you go. Maybe this one is darker, but it's all good. Boom. And yeah, that's pretty much for the buttons. So we have created 4 different buttons, and this is coming. Let's add this. Yeah, Spotify free. This one should work because we have good. Save it. There you go. I have the exact same one, right? So I use the Spotify gradient, Spotify free features. Now you can try with any gradients you want. I just want to make it the same. So we are done with the buttons. Now we need to tackle this. So we are not done actually with this project. We need to work on these icons, how we can style them, and I will see you in the next lecture. Welcome back. We need first to use these icons from somewhere, and we can download these icons from Font Awesome. So here, if you go fontawesome.com/v4/get started and click on this download, you will download the entire package, right? Now, when you download, you will get something like this. Here it is. I've downloaded and put it on my desktop. Now, all you need to do is to unzip it, right? And it gives you this name. What you can do, you can rename it and make it a little bit shorter, like this, Font Awesome. Now, the thing is that we have downloaded the Font Awesome icons, but we need to use in our project. Well, we can use it in our project if we just take this whole folder, and put it in our CSS folder, right? So there you go. I have CSS, then Font Awesome. Now the next part is to be able to link this folder, same as we did the normal style.css. So I'm gonna remove this part, and let's first go to the CSS folder. Now we have to go to the Font Awesome folder, then to the CSS again, and you can use any of these two. I will go to Font Awesome min.css, minified version, save it. Cool. Now all we need to do is to copy this cool buttons, and yeah, we can just delete the 3 of them. And yeah, here is the section for our 3 buttons. Cool buttons, right? Button container will remain the same, but here the class will be changed. So for example, the first things I want to use is, this here, right? The Facebook, then the YouTube, then the Twitter icon. So how I can do that? Well, it's easy. Let me show you. So here, instead of expand and instead of this gibberish here, let me just delete them, and I will use the I class. In here, I will pass FA, Facebook, square, then FA, that's okay. I will just close this one, and area hidden should be true. Now, if I save it, there you go. I have the first logo. But in order to style this better, I need to use my own custom class, and this will be FA icons, FB Facebook icon. So this will be FA icons. We'll use the same class for each and every button. You will see now. So I'm gonna use the same for FA icons for the YouTube, but here I need to call the YouTube like that. Good. There's it. I have the YouTube and another div element for FA Twitter. And instead of Facebook icon here, I will say YouTube icon, because I will target this class later to style the YouTube differently. And this will be Twitter icon. And yeah, save it. Cool. Now what I can do here, I can add an extra class, FA Twitter. This should be FA YouTube. These are my classes, but these are coming from the documentation. Okay, guys? This, and these are my classes. Don't get confused. And here I will say FA Facebook. Good. Now let's go back here. We have everything that what we need. If I zoom in, you will see the icons are there, but we need to style them, and that we will do in the next section. let's actually style our buttons here. So I can close this one safely and open the index CSS file, right? And let's say here FA icons styles, and I'm just gonna comment this one first, and first, or Facebook button, that will be number 1, right? So let's add all of the styles here. Okay, so I'm gonna target the class FA icons, so I can style all of the icons in one go, and that is this class, right? All of them, they have it, this class. So here, what I want to go is I want to have the width of 70 pixel and I want to have a height of 70 pixels, because when I do border radius, let me just save it and show you. Now they're all square, but I want to do a border radius of 50% and I want them to turn to circles. Good. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit messy here. The border is not good. So I just want to say border none. Oh, how cool is this? Now I can add margin between them. Margin of 10 pixels. Cool. There you go. So because this is a font awesome icons, they're treated as a fonts. So because they're treated as a fonts, we can give them a font size of 27 pixels. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, if this was image, you need to go with height and width, okay? But I styled the height and width to the actual, to the button, okay? And the I class is an actual font. Good. So now when we hover, let's add the following things, because I want to replicate this part. Look, it's coming from the center, expanding this circle. And it plus the color is from the Facebook original colors. Okay, we're gonna get that same thing. So now I need to get this FB icon, our class, Facebook icon. And now the Facebook icon, oh, actually, let's add the before state like this. So for the before state, I want the content to be this. I want the position to be absolute. Good. And I want the also, because the position will be absolute, let me just show you. Now I'm gonna say top 50%. This is a very nice trick. Left 50% and transform, translate, minus 50%, comma, minus 50%. Save it and add a background color of the Facebook, which is 3B5998. 5998. Save it. And now all I need to do is, for this to be visible, I will add height of 10 pixels and width of 10 pixels. This will be, here it is, it's here. But this is happening, it's not centered here. And this is happening because we need to target this BTN container. And I'm just gonna put it here, BTN container, and let's say position relative. And it's in perfect center. So this top left and transform translate will put it in the center, whatever we're trying to achieve. Okay, so there you go. Now we need to work on the hover effect. Let's do this. Let me just clean this one a little bit. So hover and select the before state. And what I try to do here is to set the width back to 70 pixel or height to 70 pixels, right? And we need to just make sure this one is set to 0 pixels like that. So when we hover, boom, it's like that. Okay, so what else we need to do? We also need to make the icon, when we hover, the icon is, don't worry about the overflowing, but let's worry about the icon now. The icon is not visible. So how we can do this? Well, same as before, I can target FA, FB, or this class now, right? And what I can do here, I can say position relative, and let's put the z index 2, and the FA icons here, this one should be z index 1. Save it, and let's see if, yep, that is happening. Good. So we are pretty much done, but we need to add a transition here because it's not happening very good. So transition all 0.3 seconds, and that should be linear, right? Good. So the only thing that we need to take care is with that overflowing. So where are we gonna put the overflowing? What you think? And also we need to add this pointer, right? So yeah, what you think we should do? Okay, now without any overflows, we can fix this part. Very simple. So FB icon before we have styled, but we haven't done this border radius to 50%. So when we do this, it will be identical, yeah, to the circle. Now the only thing that we need to tackle is we need to go here and say FB icon hover, and when it's on the hover state, I want the cursor to be pointer, and look at this. The icon should turn from dark to white. So we can easily do that with changing the color, same as in fonts. And let's see, there you go. And now it's not gradual as here. So what we can do is we can say FB icon. Do I have this FB icon? No, I don't have it. Just gonna put it here. FB icon, we can add transition there. And I'm gonna copy the same one, and let's see, yeah, now it's way better. Okay, we are done with Facebook. Next is the YouTube, and after that we're gonna style the Twitter. Let's style the YouTube and Twitter icons. Now, so far we have styled the Facebook icon, and this, if we hover, there is no change. Okay, now let's do YouTube icon and make sure that this is considered as a comment, otherwise you're gonna have some problems. Now what we need here, let's go back here and see this YouTube. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now here we are having YT icon class, we have FA YouTube class, and yeah, this one it's already been there for us. Okay, so we can grab the YouTube icon class, and when we unhover, I want a couple of things to happen. First things first, I want when I hover this to be a cursor pointer. Good. And it's not changing because I haven't done this for quite a while. So let me just do this, go live again. And yeah, I should have done this thing here, right? There you go. Now I'm gonna close it. Now there's this cursor pointer is working. Now what else we need here? Okay, I also want the color or the color of this YouTube when it's hovered to be changed to white. Okay, so let's tackle this one. It's not gonna look nice now if I save it. Look, it's not look nice, but it's still there. Now, what else we need here? Well, I want the background to be changed to the colors of the YouTube, and know the exact color of YouTube. It's FF, so capital F, in 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. It's already been there. Now, let's achieve this rotation here. So we can do exact rotation if we use transform, rotate, and we put the degrees 360 degrees. Sorry, my voice is breaking a little bit. Now let's do this. You can't see the rotation. Why? Well, because we need to put the transition here on the actual class. So here it will be transition all 0.3 seconds, and it should be linear, right? Great. Looks perfect. Now, if you have any problems with the visibility of the YouTube, you can just add position relative in index and stuff. But we're not gonna have those problems, okay? Now, next is to style the Twitter icon. And for the Twitter icon, it's similar. We have TW_icon class, and we have this one, FA TW, if we actually need it, okay? So, yeah, so let's do this. Twitter icon. Make sure it's like that. Let's give a breathing space. So what we need to do? Well, on hover, we want to achieve this effect, right? So how are we gonna do that? Well, we need to do a couple of things. First, the icon, hover. Let's make this to be cursor, pointer, and let's add the, let's add the Twitter background, which is blue, and I have the background color. So you can Google this, by the way, so you can find this information very easily. And they do have different colors that you can test. Boom, it's there. Now I also want to be color, color. So when I hover, this black bird should become white. There you go. And the last thing is I want to apply this skewing. So I'm gonna use transform, skew, not scale, skew. In here, I'm going to add -10 degrees, -10 degrees. Make sure that you put DIG there, -10 degrees. So on both sides, and let's see. Very good. Actually, I'm not on the real one. That's why I was confused. Why there is a transition, huh? Okay, let's do this. So it's working, but without the transition, it doesn't look good. So what we can do here is to target this TW icon and add the same transition as here. Save it. Bam. And there you guys. You have everything that you need. Also, if you need, you can use all of this here. I'm just gonna put them here, but for now it's working, so you don't need to play with this. So FA, so for here, FA is gonna be YouTube here, like that. And yep, and the last one is gonna be here, and FA Twitter for the position relative. So make sure that everything is working. So congratulations, we have complete the entire project. I hope you like what you have learned. So now you know how to style buttons, and these buttons you can use. Let me just zoom in now. We don't need the code anymore. So you can use these buttons, this effect on your actual projects, right? So make sure that this is working fine. And yeah, usually you're gonna find these icons on the footer section, right? So where the people can link to your accounts, right? So this is the effects that we have achieved so far, and I hope you like it. And let's do the next project together. In this final part, we're gonna learn about 3D transformations, and we're gonna learn how to use this third axis, which is Z. But before that, go where you keep your files and create a duplicate of the last one that we work, and rename it. I'm gonna rename it to 3D Transforms, like that. And now you can go here in your VS Code, open the folder, make sure you do that 3D Transforms, and let's clean up everything here. I don't need these cool buttons. I'm just gonna move them. I'm gonna delete all of them, right? But what I want to do is to take out these like this. So I'm going to use only the index file and the style. Now index file, it's already been cleaned, but this one here, everything is gonna go. So from the styles, I delete everything. From the index, I can just write here 3D transforms. Good. And let's write here 3D perspective. This is what we're gonna cover in the theory section. All right. So I'm gonna remove here, and I'm gonna go live. There it is. Now let's here add a couple of things. I'm gonna add a section, and in this section I'm gonna have a class, and inside this will be the name of this class will be perspective, and here inside this section I will have a container or a div element, right? And inside I will have another container or another div element with a class of square, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about this 3D. Okay, so make sure that this now it's linked to this. Let's see if it's gonna work. So body, background color, orange, red, save it, and there you go, it's working. We don't need this anything for now, just I want to try to test if everything is working. So let's go back here to 3D transformation. So 3D stands for three-dimensional transforms. So before we were dealing with these axes only, X, which is go from left to right or horizontal, and Y, which is up and down or the vertical one. Now in the three-dimensional transform, we have access to the third axis called Z. To understand in most simple terms, the positive values of the Z will place the item or the object closer to us. It will be like zoomed in, and we put a negative one, it will place this object further away from us. It's like zoom out. So let me start explaining what this perspective in 3D is. And we already have defined our container here, right? We have defined our container where we have a square, and I have everything is going inside the perspective section. Good. So let's style the perspective to be, let me just here background color. Yeah, this one, beige, it's all good enough. Now here I'm gonna say the perspective. So I'm gonna target the section, this section, and I want this to be display flex. So each of the items we have in the section, it will be placed in the middle. So I can use this with display flex and justify content to center and align items to center. All done. Now you're not gonna see big change here because we haven't defined these guys here, right? The container and the square. So let's give the container, let's target the container first, and let's style this container to have visible 3 pixels border and also height and width. So height, let's put it 400 pixels, width again 400 pixels, so it will be a square, and border, it will be 3 pixels, solid, orange, red. Let's see, boom, everything is in the center like I said. Now let's define the inner square. So this guy here, so we have finished this one. We made display flex and everything to be center. Then we have styled the container, and now let's deal with the square. Now the square will have a height of 100%, so it will occupy the entire container. And so as I mentioned, the square will have a height of 100%, and background color, let's put it blue. Save it. See, it's occupying the entire container. Now, before we test the z-axis, we can try and see if it's going with the normal translate, right, that we have covered so far. So here, I am going to add transform, translate, for example, X, and let's do 50 pixels. What you think will happen? Where it's gonna move? Yeah, it's moving on the horizontal axis to the right side because we gave a positive 50. If you give minus 50, it will go on the other side, on the left side. So, as again, let's get back to the 50. So 50 will push this item or this blue square where? To the right side. And if we use the y-axis, let me just show you. If we use the y-axis and positive 50 pixels, it will push it down or vertically down to 50 pixels. And we can experiment with minus. Oops. See what I did? Minus 50 will push it up. Good. This we have talked about all of this. Just gonna copy it, make sure that the first one was there. So we have talked about this in the first section, right? Now let's try to use translate Z. Copy this one, comment, put it here, and translate Z of 50 pixels and see what happens. This will not do anything because of this keyword here that I just mentioned, perspective. We need to define the perspective, okay? So how we can do this? Well, we can do this, perspective, and here, let me just put it here, perspective, 400 pixels. Now, if we go back here, you see the border that we have, orange red border. So if I comment this one out, there's the border. Now, if I uncomment, this is bigger, right? So the object is closer. The border that we set is invisible now. And even if we put, I'm just gonna make sure that this goes side by side like this. Yeah. So you can see the changes. Now, if I put this one to 100, for example, pixels, and if I save it, let me just push it a little bit like that. If I save it, look, it's growing even bigger. So the object is bigger and closer to our screen. Now, if we use negative Z value, so translate Z minus 100 pixels, save it, look, the border is getting visible, and this object, it looks like it's zoomed out. It's going into the other, further from the container with the border that we set, all right? So the perspective adds, this perspective property adds depth or another dimension, as I mentioned here. Pushes the item forward or pushes the item backwards. I hope I did explain this for you in easy manner. Now we can add the perspective like this. Let me just show you. We don't have to do it like this. I'm just gonna copy it, save it, because I want you to have the steps. So we can just add the perspective or 400 pixels, and then to put the transform, translate Z, and don't forget here, actually, we missed the column there. But this will not work because this perspective property cannot be set in the square, in the child. It needs to go to the parent. So the parent of this is the container. And so this cannot work. Let me just write here another. This needs to be set in the parent. And I will add here. So this guy here needs to be set in the parent. And if I save it now, it will not work. What is this? Save it again? Oh yeah, because of these here brackets. make sure that the brackets are gone, right? I just copy it here, and also these brackets should be gone from there. Let me just comment this part, right? And uncomment this one, and just to show you that it's not gonna work there, okay? So comment this one and uncomment this. So there you go. Now you know that you need to set the perspective on the parent. Cool. Now we can also set the perspective origin property on the parent here. And this perspective origin property can take 5 different values like bottom, left, center, right, top, and also we can use percentages. We can also use pixels as well. Now let me just show you. Perspective origin, and let's put it right. Look at this. It goes to the right. It set the origin to the right. And if we do left, if we do top, if we do bottom, right? So everything is working. Now we can also use here percentages like 50% and 50%. And look at what this will do. This will give me the default value, the default perspective value. The first 50% is for the X. So the first 50% is for the X axis. The second 50% is for the Y axis, okay? Just to be clear. So now if we want our perspective origin to start at a bottom right, we can also combine the keywords. Let me just copy this one here and put it like that and say top. Let me just give you all of this: top, left, right, bottom, right? But we can also use a combination of this. Let me just make it this one. So for example, if I want our perspective origin to start from the bottom right corner, so we can combine them and say bottom right. Look what will happen here when I save it. Boom, is there. Now, this is it. This is how you can use the perspective origins. And I think you get the point. Now, let's talk about translate 3D function, right? Instead of using this translate Z like this, what we can do is you can use transform translate 3D. And here we give 3 values. The first is for the X, the second is for the Y, and the third one is for the Z, or this was the shorthand, right? So make sure that you understand this. This is equivalent. So translate Z is equivalent to giving like this. So if we want to mimic the same one, I'm just gonna comment this one, all right? Let's take this one out, save it. So if we want to mimic the same position, transform, so what we need to do is 0, 0. You can add pixels if you want. Pixels, and this one is going to be minus 100 pixels. And if I comment this one out, it will be exactly the same. But if I add plus 100, it will zoom out. Good. I hope you understand how this is working. So translate 3D. Instead of using this, we can just use the 3 values, and we can just also play with horizontal and vertical values as well. Now we can use this knowledge to create the project. The next project will be for the flipping cards. So we're gonna use this knowledge that we learned so far about the 3D, the perspective, the translate, right, Z, and we can make those flipping cards awesome. So take care, and I will see you in the next section. And this is our final project. So here we're gonna build these 3 awesome cards and these awesome effects. Now, as you can see, I have here a title, I have image, I have link, and when you hover, the backside will have another title, image, description, and price. So this is just a simple card, but I've included a lot of things so you can actually learn how we can do this. Okay, now the images is mine. I've tested something on Midjourney and I've created these images using the AI. So yeah, if you want to check, you can check my other video for that. But you can download any images from Unsplash. So first things first, we're gonna create this, no problem. But let's go where you keep your files. So if you're working with me, probably you need to do for flipping cards. And inside here, I am going to put this IMG as well. Good. Now let's load this into the VS Code. And we are, for this first part, we are just gonna create the, give me 1 second. We're just gonna create the layout in the HTML, right? We're gonna get rid of this section here. Save it, the style. I'm going to get rid of pretty much everything. I'm gonna leave the background color, good. The images here are my ones. As I said, you can just download whatever image you want. And yeah, here, the title will be what? Flipping cards effects. Good. And here I'm going to have a container. Let me just close this so I can have all of this cards. And yeah, that container will be called cards container. How effective, because it will contain all of the cards. Inside I will have a card container, singular, because each card will have a card front face, front, like this. So where I will, give me 1 second, where I will have the image, the title and the description and this link, right? So that will be my front. And I'm also gonna have the back, which will be very similar. And I'm just gonna say back here, okay? So first we're gonna create one card, and after that we're gonna create the rest of them, okay? Because they're very similar. So the first card, as I mentioned, it will have IMG. And the IMG will go from the image, and let's say the second one. And let's add here class. And the class name should be class card underscore front dash dash IMG. Good. Let me just close this one so you can see better. And the alt will be Midjourney AI. Good. So that is for the class. After that, I will have a span tag, and inside this span tag, I will have a class called card front and dash dash title, where I will keep the title and say, do you want a drink? Question mark. Then I will have a p tag, and inside this p tag, I will have a class, and where this will be card front description. Okay, here should be dash dash description, and I will have here lorem. I will type just lorem and hit tab, and it auto populate for me. Let's make it like this. You don't need to be super big. Save it, and the last thing I need here is the link saying read more. And I'm gonna put it there, that in the div, and href, and saying that it will not go to anywhere, of course, because this is not a real website. So card front dash dash link, and it will say read more. How cool is this? So the front side is done. So this is the front. And let's style the back. Now the back will have, again, let me copy this span here. And instead of doing this, I will use the same class because I will style it the same, but I will change the text. Saturday promotion, exclamation mark. And here I'm gonna also use the image, and instead of rig 2, I will use rig 3, and I will use the same class, and it should be card, not cuffed. Crazy, at least I figured it out now. And yeah, then this should go, we should create another div element. So card back and say dash deal. In here, I will just create a p tag with a class of card underscore black. And here should be not black, back, sorry, back deal info dash info. And here again, one lorem, and make sure that it's not too big. Okay, you can cut out from this. So this is just a text that is dynamically generated for us. So good, that's the info. And the last thing I have in the back card, if you notice, is this price. So I have the title, image, description, and the price. So here I have the title, the image, the description, but that description goes in this card back deal container, and inside I have the description, and I will also have the card back deal dash price, and this will be, actually this should not be a, it will be a p, right? A p tag. It should not be another div. It's unnecessary. So $5.99 for example. And there you go. Now we have everything that we need, so we can start working. Now if we go live now, it will be a mess, right? Look at this. We have all of the things we said, but they're not being styled. So at least we have what we have. At least we have the cards container, where we have one card like this that has front side and back side. In the front side, we do have image, title, description, and the link. In the back side, we do have another title, image, in a container where we have the information and the price. So in the next lecture, we are going to work on the styles. Take care. So this is our project, how it looks so far, but it doesn't look right because of the images. They're very big, so we need to fix them first. So let's write some styles. Now, if we go back here in the CSS, I have deleted everything except for the body. Okay, let's leave this one here. Now let's style the cards container. And this cards container will be display flex, and justify the content should be center. Okay, let's do this. Let's see what, if this anything changed. Yeah, the images are there. Now let's add a style. So this was for the cards container. Sorry, for the cards container. Now I'm gonna style the card container, the individual card, where I have the front and back. Okay, so here I will say card container, and inside here I will specify the height to be 500 pixels and the width should be 300 pixels. Okay, so that's all for now. Save it. It will not change much because of the size of the images. So yeah, let me also target the card front and card back. Okay, so I'm gonna target both of them, card front like this, comma card dot card back, and I will say that the height should be the same as the container, 500 pixels, and width should be 300 pixels. Okay, then let's give a background color of orange red to see what's happening. You can't see it still. So we have card front and card back. Good. Let me just now style the image, because the images are the one that we have a big problem, and the class is card front image. So card front image, I want the width to be exactly as this one, 300 pixels. That's why I'm saying 100%. So the image will stretch to occupy these 300 pixels. And then the height of the image should be, let's say, 250 pixels. Save it, and now, there you go. Look, this is the front. Oh, you cannot see the front actually and back, because let's add here border radius. So if I add border radius like 3 pixels or 10 pixels like this, there you go. You will see now this is where the front ends and this is where the back starts. Cool. Now I'm gonna style everything. The image, I already styled the image. I will style the title, the description, and when I style this title and description, this title and this description will also be styled, okay? But let's do all of this before we start the effects of the flipping of the card, okay? So it will be more nicer. So I have finished with the card front image. Now let's do card front, then dash dash title. And I want the title to be, let's say, letter spacing of 2 pixels. I want text transform to be uppercase. And so if I do this now, let's make it better. So after I save, you will know what's happening, okay? And yep, let me zoom this one out. So if I save it now, check out the title. Good. The title is way better. Now I'm going to apply text shadow here, and the pixels that I'm going to use and the color is already being tested by me. So that's why I know what numbers I should use. Okay, don't freak out. This is nothing with how good I am, but this is with something that I have tested before this part, okay? And that's why I know these things. There it is. The shadow is there, and if I remove this background, good. Instead of that, I will say border 1 pixel solid green. Now you can see the shadow. Okay, now one thing is that we need to add a couple of fonts. So I want to have 3 fonts, and the first font, for example, for here, I want to be Oswald. And you can click here and select the regular 400. Just select it here. Then I want, so go back to Google Fonts. I want the Roboto. And also I'm gonna select the regular ones. Where's the regular? Good. And there is one more that I want, and that I will use for the price. And this one is like Featherant. Let me just type it here. And let me zoom in if you don't see actually. Featherant, and should be cursive. Okay, this one. Select it. Why is it taking so long here? Okay. Now, can I select the 400? Select, yeah, that one. Now, all I need to do is to copy this here and just, oops, add it. So I need to do this now. Add it here. Okay. Save it. Make sure you select this bad boys here. Make there in one line. And now I can just go back here. And now I can just apply different fonts. So here for the title, I want to use, I want to use the Oswald, the one that I have, right? So you will see that it's here, Oswald. So how am I gonna do this? Well, even in here, you can just say, boom, you can copy it from here. Oops. Without too many complication, type it there. And before I save it, let's go back here. So now when I save it, you will see the change of these both titles, of this one and of this one, because they have the same class name. Good, it looks way better. Now, yep, so we have the title. What we need else is pretty much here we're done. We don't need anything else. Now let's tackle let's tag the description. It's not good. So we can say card front dash description, right? Like this. And I want the text to be what? To be justified. And before I do this, in the card front and card back, I want all of the text to be aligned to center. And if I save it, good. But now it's gonna bother me for the description, and I'm just gonna revoke that, and I'm gonna say, okay, I want the text to be actually justified. So text align, justify, save it, boom. But let's add padding because it's too much to the borders. So padding of 10 pixels should be enough. Save it. There you go. What's next? The card link. I'm just going to copy this one and I'm going to say link here. And the link should have text decoration. Text decoration none. And when I save it, underline will go, right? I really don't like the blue color of that is the default for the A Href links. So what we need to do is actually to get rid of that one. So I'm going to say background color. First, I'm going to give a background color. And this is 2B, capital B, 860F. Oops. And this should be a green color, same as this one here. Very good. Now, doesn't look much, but let's style this color of the font to be white. And let's give a padding to both top, bottom, left, and right. 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Boom, there you go. Now I need this, the edges are too sharp, so I'm gonna say border radius of 30 pixels. And then I have this pill. Awesome. How cool is this? So we are done with the link, we are done with the description, we're done with the title. Looks much more cleaner, right? So what we need next? Well, this is also done. This is also done. Now we need to work on the here card back deal. So actually, I'm just gonna show you. We need to work on this part now. First, I'm gonna target this one, copy it from here. Oops. And let's go back where we were here. Now here I want to say the font family. I want to change to Roboto. And Roboto like this, and I can use it because we have already get it from Google, right? There it is. It's changed. How cool is this? Now text align again, justify. Good. Now we need to add a little bit padding of 10 pixels, should fix the problems. Okay, now let's add this. It's like a, let me show you. Here it is. It's a background. It's a little bit green, right? So how we can achieve this? Well, we can say background. Background color should be the same one as this, all right? I'm just gonna copy it and paste it. But now the background image should be linear gradient. And this linear gradient should be 180 degrees. And should start with this one. 180 degrees, this one 0%, and oops, 0%, and let me just clean it, the mess that I have done. Then I will have a comma, and this will be A9, BA90, look, this one, and it will be 74%. And if I save it, check this part. So when I save it, boom, there you go. Now, what else we need? Well, we can deal with the price now. So I'm just gonna copy this one and dash price. And here I'm gonna use the font that I mentioned, font family, but actually copy it, Featherant, so I don't mispronounce it. Good. Let's go back here, save it. What's happening here? Save it. Here it is. The font is different. Now, I want to increase the font size because it's too small. Let's say 30 pixels, and let's say font weight bold, and padding left to be 100 pixels. So when I save it, I should see a different change. Good. And I also, what we can do, we can just change the color. It should not be so black. So let's change the color to 0, F46, and 04. Some dark green. These are colors that are coming from that. And ladies and gentlemen, we are all done. All I need to do is this border solid. I should remove it, right? Because we are going to deal with that in the next section. Take care. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we need to achieve this effect here. So when I hover, let me just move it here. So when I hover the card, the back side should be visible of that card, and when I hover out, or when I move the mouse out, the first card should be visible. Okay, so how we can achieve this? Well, let's start with the card back here. So all I need is to rotate the back card. So let's do this here, card back, and I'm just gonna rotate this one using transform rotate 3D, and here I'm gonna say 0, 1, 0, 180 degrees. What this basically means, look at this, it's rotated. What this basically means is rotate the card 180 degrees in y-axis. Now it's all done. And this y-axis is because we have 1 for the y coordinate, this is 0 for the x, and 0 for the z. Okay, now we have one problem here. The cards need to be stacked on top of each other, and we can do that. First, we need to make the card front and card back to be position absolute. So if I save it, the cards will be stacked, but it's also a good idea to make the parent to be position relative. Good. So we have made the card front and card back to be position absolute, and the parent, or the card container that holds both of the cards, is position relative. Now, if we want to see that they're stacked in real, we can do opacity 0.3, and here it is. Look, before was only the card back visible, right? Here it is. Now, when I turn off the opacity, when I lower down opacity, it's coming the front one. Okay, so if we want now to make this card, the back card, to be invisible, to hide it, all we need to do in this card front and card back to use this feature, backface, visibility, hidden. So when I do this, the card back is going to be hidden and the front card will be visible, and that's what we're aiming here, the first card to be there. Okay, there you go. Now we can even comment this opacity because we're not going to need it, so we know that this is the card, right? Good. Now what else we need here? Well, the idea is when we hover the card, the backside to be visible again, and it's easy. All we need to do is to target the card container like this, and when we hover with our mouse, I want the cursor to be pointer, That's the first thing. And I want to use the same transform rotate to rotate it as it was. So let's see. What's happening here? I can see only the back, the front card rotated, but I don't see the back one. Why? Well, because we use the backface visibility. And now we need to add transform style preserve 3D to the card container here, to this card container, and that will fix this issue. Okay, so transform style. We haven't used this one, and you choose the preserve 3D. Now look what will happen. Boom. You see the back side now. I mean, the back card is visible, the front is not. When I hover out, this front is visible again. How cool is this? Now, we can also, what we need to do, we can add the transition to the card container. So after the preserve 3D, let's add the transition to the card container, and let's say 0.5 seconds linear, and see if getting better now. Yes, it is. And if we want to be more natural, we can, the animation to be more natural, we can add the perspective to get that 3D effect of the original cards container. So the cards container, we can say perspective 1000. Save it. There you go. Now it's much more smooth. And that's the first effect. Okay, so we need to figure out how we can do the rest of these two cards. So far we have done the first one, right? But we can do the rest of them as well. Before we do any more styling, I just want the card to have this shadow effect. So we don't have that one, and we can easily apply that shadow effect here in a card front and a card back. So box shadow, and here I'm gonna say 0 pixels, 10 pixels, 15 pixels. Then, yep, 0 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0, and yep, one more time, 0.5. That will be the opacity. Save it, and there you go. The shadow is there. Okay, cool. Now look here, the image. Although we have said that we want border radius to be 10 pixels, right? It's clipped here. It's not that sharp. So if I remove this one, all of the edges will be sharp, but that was not the goal. So I want the edges to be like this all the way. But here, because of the image is overflowing, we need to fix this. So all we need to set is overflow hidden. So whatever it's overflowing, in our case, the image, let's hide it. And there you go. Now everything is normal. Cool. So what's next? Well, the next thing that we need to do is basically we need to create these two more cards. So we need to go here to the index.html, and in the cards container, actually in a card container, we need to make sure that we add one more class. So R1 will be rotation 1 for this card, right? Because that will be one type of rotation. So make sure that you minimize because it's easier to copy. So copy this, paste it one more time, and change this to R2, right? And copy it one more time, paste it, change this to R3. Now, you can have different here like I did here. You can have different visit our place, tired. Well, let's do this. The last one will be tired and question mark, and save it. Let's go back here. Just I'm gonna change the title, guys. What was it? Visit our place. Our place, and I don't need the question mark. Okay. Now let's see how our file is looking. Cool. So we have 3 cards, and what we do have is the same rotation. Okay, so we need to work on that. Now let's go back here to this one, and let me just zoom out that part. Let me bring this one on the other side. so we can work on the second card first, then on the first one. Now, let's target this R1 or rotation 1 for the first card. So what I'm going to do is card container hover, right? So I'm going to change this part and I'm going to say card container dot R1, and then I'm going to use the hover. So save it. Let's see. Oh, now the other one is not working, only the first one. Good. Now we can do the same for the other cards. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here 2 times, and change this to R2 and R3. Now, because we use the same rotate, they all, again, gonna do the same rotation, okay? Now here, what we want to do is to basically, for the R2, to change this to be like this. 1, 0, 0, 180 degrees. So basically, we're trying, do 180 degrees rotation on the Y, on the X axis, okay? And the last one will be what? What you think? We can do 1, 1 like this. So the final card, let's rotate the card in X and Y axis, and yeah, like this. So save it. We need to do a couple of fixings, by the way, right? The first one is working. The second one is not working because we need to just work on the backside. So what we need to do here is basically just go back to the where we have the card back here. Let me just copy this and move it down here. And now what we can do is here, R2 dot card back, and I want to say transform, rotate 3D, and I want to rotate the 3D exactly as this one. Let me just copy it and paste it, and let's see what's happening. Perfect. Now I can do the same thing for R3 class and do this 1, 1, 180. And there you go. Now we need to fix a couple of things, right? Now here in the cards container, I say justify content center. That's why it's like this. But we can use something else. Justify content space evenly, or space around. Let's do space evenly. Save it. And let's do this. How cool is this now? You can even try the space around. Save it. Refresh. There you go. And I hope you like it. I hope you like this transformation. So what basically we did, we add 3 more classes here, R1, R2, and R3, and we target those classes here with different rotations, right? Here it is. Before it was just a card container hover. Now we need to target those specific classes for those 3 different cards. And card back, the first one stays the same. You can do R1. Yeah, you got the point. So even if you do this, R1 like this, and card back, now if we go, it will still work like a charm. Yeah, so there you go. Now I hope you like this project, what you have learned here, and you can use this for your websites, right? And by the way, I need to update these images here, right? Let's make this one like a 4, and yeah, this one maybe like 5, so to be a little bit different. Oops, there it is. Good. And what else do I have here for the third one? Let's change the images, 6 and 7 to be a little bit more interesting. Come on, guys. Here it is. Boom. That. Done. Oh, and that's it for this course. I hope you learned a lot. You learned about transforms, You learn about transitions, you learn about different things, how to style buttons, links, and cards as well. So if you like it, please share, subscribe, and check out my other courses. I have for ChatGPT Midjourney to create these awesome images here. You can sell them if you want. Now, I also have a Python that's more advanced. I have 2 Python courses. So check all of them if you like. And yeah, see you in the next course.